There is a nurse practitioner one time that heard my story, and I could tell in her eyes she understood it. And she wasn't the boss, although she had seniority. There was a new psychiatrist who was a very young woman who was pregnant already, and she's starting a career that she's associating it to probably being a good mother with the income that this is going to generate. But they said, well, Martin, we can't give you this diagnosis. It doesn't exist. Will you accept another one so we can just give you a good listener kind of counselor? And I said, yes, but I never heard back from them. They never followed up. And I believe it is the psychiatrist that didn't like some of the last things I said, because she probably felt criticized, which was accurate, because I said, I don't need somebody with advanced skills. I need somebody with basic counseling skills, which they should have, and that cares just to hear what my life is like. And when I said this, often teary-eyed, is I could see the nurse practitioner with more, this psychiatric nurse with more seniority in the office understood, and I could tell in her eyes she cared. I could tell there was just a tiny little twinge of maybe more moisture, and she could relate to me. But she was not in charge. I never got the services I wanted there, even though it's not the services I actually need, because the paradigm of mental illness in Canada is so far behind. And all my attempts to do public speaking with the Canadian Mental Health Association have gotten very ridiculous responses. So this is my blog on mental illness. It is very common. People think I have some just because I act very differently than they do, and they think if I could only act more like them. And again, it is based on what they think would be their problems to solve in my situation. They still have no clue what my life is like, my priorities are like, my values are like, my long-term goals are like, my socio-cybernetic plans, my cultural repair plans, my knowledge of psychology. Like, this girl thinks she's really smart, and she thinks she's justified to waste my time and treat me in this disrespect kind of way today. And people don't know that I'm so much smarter than them in many ways, that I can already know what they're going to do and what they're thinking, and it makes me sad. And they'll never know this. They'll never know that they didn't really get away with disrespecting me without really breaking my heart, because I know they would care about that, but they just think I'm not smart enough to know. And it's quite sad, and that's the norm. That's the 99.6% of people. It's either very common or very extreme with most people, or when the situation becomes complex enough with some people that aren't as devolved by HSD, then they still show up these types of patterns, where the kindness, the fake caring starts to show, because the situation gets complex enough that accountability is what hits them in the face, and they still won't make the right choice, and they kind of walk away, or they didn't know I left a message for them days ago. It starts to get those patterns. You get less calls, and it's not because I did anything wrong. It's because this is when they would be faced with looking at themselves in the mirror and say, well, I have to push through my intellectual laziness, and I have to commit to more personal growth if I am to relate more with Martin, somebody that I used to admire or had these skills, but they're a lot more advanced caring or intelligence than I thought he had before. And still, they're far from what it would be if they stayed intimately close with me in conversations for a few months. So this is the world that I'm in. So I do crave interacting with other animals who don't suffer from this, and the people skills they will have, the other animals, and the social needs that I would usually get met through my own species are going to get met more through animals. So again, I've been wanting to do this more in the last couple of years, and again, people just want me to work with kids, and then I see them devolve their own kids, and it breaks my heart. So I have to focus on my own, especially if I'm going to ever write a book that I don't think is ever going to be read. I don't know why I'd be writing it, because I'd be writing it really for non-profit, and it'd be like nobody's really going to care. So I mean, they're going to care, but in like 150 years it's going to be too late. So they're going to say, oh, if only we knew about this book. Yeah, well, people have said similar things a long time ago, and people ignore what they want to ignore. So that's a common pattern with the intellectual laziness of the human race. So, and just calling it the human race is just wrong words. It just creates the wrong type of culture to continue devolving. Anyways, I hope the noise of the wind wasn't too bad, and that you heard most of this, and it wasn't too long. And this is a typical day for me, but I am excited because I'm going somewhere else. I've decided, and I don't even know for sure where it is. but I'm excited about just my brain being reignited by fresh triggers and be happy to try new stuff again, because moving from place to place when there is no humans to be found is one way that I can suffer less from species alienation, and part of it is because I will allow my heart to hallucinate when I get to new places that maybe social connections of value are possible. And again, I choose this as a form of, you know, it's a form of faith, right? It's not a religion, but it's like when you don't have the evidence to believe this, but you need to for your own survival, that's a way to define faith. Although some people go for faith pretty darn quick before they make any search for evidence. But anyways, I would call that more organized religion. But I'm using faith as a psychological tool right now to re-energize me to move my stuff to a new unknown place and try again with people. Because I don't think there's any society that would understand me and give me you know, a nice humane suicide for ending my life. And of course I don't want to end my life. I still enjoy many things that I want to do, such as badminton, except that you have to find badminton players who want to actually play badminton and talk about how to make it fun for everyone. I enjoy chocolate. I would enjoy sex if I had access to it right now. I would enjoy cycling in new places. I'd enjoy playing volleyball again, croquet. I'd enjoy a lot more movies, walks in nature, new places, water activities. So I don't suffer from major depression. I suffer from constant sadness because of the homo communia, and that's a tough one. That's a tough one because it is not a solvable issue in this day and age.